in to a place. I'm a former NASA rocket scientist, and I figured, hey, schools are closed, we're locked down in this quarantine thing. Let's learn about space. We're doing some remote learning, maybe some homeschooling. I'm here to help you out. So hopefully you are a fan. If not, your parents are making you watch this. You're gonna be a fan of space at the end. So we are going to do an intro to the solar system. All right, I'm super excited to share this with you. And I've got some friends here to help me teach you about the solar system. So, hey, curious kids, Kevin here. We're going to learn about the solar system. So what is that big bright thing in the sky? You have any idea what it is? You can shout it out. Let me know. I'm going to introduce my first friend, Mr. Sun. So Mr. Sun here is gigantic. Look how big this is. I had to blow this thing up. It took me forever. So the sun is about 93 million miles away. It takes about 8 minutes surface of Earth. All right, so we have some comments going on. If you guys have questions, please put them in the comment section. I'll try and answer them along the way, or if I don't get to them at the end, I'm going to cycle back through them all. Guardians want to know about or got a question, just put it in there. So our sun, this is what all of the planets orbit around in the solar system. It's what gives us our light, our heat, and what allows us to have a good, happy life here on Earth. So let's move on to the next planet. So we got a bunch of planets in our solar system. We're going to start with the closest planet to the sun. Now, do you know what that is? If you do, shout it out. I'm going to bring up my next friend to help us out. So goodbye, Mr. Sun. Now we have Mercury. So here we go. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So how long does it take Earth to go completely around the sun? It's 365 days. That's what gives us 1 year. So for one revolution around the whole sun for Earth, it's 365 days. But for Mercury, it's the closest thing to the sun. What's the closest planet? Which means it's going the fastest. It's just flying around. Now, how long do you think it takes to go around the sun? Is it half a year, quarter of a year, a few days? Well, for Mercury to go all the way around the sun once is 88 days. So it's zooming by, just flying really quickly. Now, that means if you lived on Mercury, you would have a birthday every 88 days. That's like 4 birthdays in an Earth year. That's 4 times the presents, 4 times the cake, 4 birthday parties. Now, hold on. We can't actually live on Mercury. It's way too hot. It's not what we call habitable. It doesn't have the right conditions for us to be able to survive on the surface. Now, you might be thinking, it's so hot, right? Mercury's the closest planet to the sun, so it's probably the hottest planet. Nope, it's not. It's the next planet. Do you know what the next planet is? The hottest planet we have? Shout it out if you know it. We're going to move on to Venus. So Venus here, my friend, we'll call it Miss Venus. Miss Venus has the hottest temperature of all of the planets in the solar system. You're like, Kevin, how is that possible? Mercury's closer to the sun. Wouldn't that be hotter? You would think so, but there's some special things going on at Venus. So you see these like white lines and streaks, and we see these yellow-orange. So those are clouds. And what happens is the sunlight comes through those clouds, and then it can't really get out, so it bounces around and creates what I call, or what we call, an intense greenhouse effect. Greenhouse, have you heard of that? So that's like those tents that you can go in, or those domes that have all the plants. And when you walk in, it's like really hot and humid, and you start kind of sweating. That's kind of what a greenhouse is that's going on in the surface of Venus, and it just gets so super hot. So hot that it can melt metal on the surface. Yeah, if we had a car, or we sent robots to the surface of Venus, and they've melted. But it's not just because it's so hot. It also has something called pressure. You know what pressure is? So we have pressure all the time. Right now, I've got a bunch of air pushing on me. That's pressure. But if you jumped in a pool and then you feel a lot more pushing on you, that's more pressure. It's like things pushing, and you go deeper into the pool, there's more pressure. So with a combination of that really, really hotness and all that pushing from the pressure, it melts metal on the surface of Venus. So it's crazy. So we wouldn't be able to survive on the surface of Venus. No way. Now, there is talk about like up in the cloud tops, we could send blimps or like balloons to go fly through these cloud tops and see if we can find some aliens. Wouldn't that be neat? Aliens. We haven't found them yet. I wish we would have, but not yet. We're still searching. So where is life in our solar system we know about? That would be the next planet. What is it? It's our home, Earth. The magnificent blue marble. Oh, I got it upside down. Okay, here we go. There's Earth. And you know what? You see, where is it? There it is. You see the X right here? So this is Los Angeles. This is where I am right now. As you guys are tuning in, guys and gals from around the world, just learn about space. I'm right here. You may be over here in Wisconsin. That's where I'm from. Could be on some of the other continents. But Earth. So Earth is the third planet from the sun. It's the third rocky planet. So we had Mercury, which is a rock, Venus is a rock, and Earth is a rock. Now, Earth has about 70% of its surface covered in this blue stuff. What's the blue stuff? It's water. Water is where we find life. So wherever we find life on Earth, or wherever we find water on Earth, we find life. If you have a spoon and you live next to the ocean, you can run out, make sure you take your parents with you, take the spoon, spoon up some seawater. There are millions of tiny little organisms, tiny little bacteria and life that lives within just that spoonful. So when we're looking for aliens elsewhere, we're looking for water is one of the main things we need, because of life as we know it, you need water to survive. Now, my favorite thing about planet Earth is that it has life. It has us. We have plants. I got one right here. We've got animals. We've got dogs. He's trying. Hold on. Hold on. He's coming. It's a long way. He's traveling from so far away. And, oh, there he is. Oh, it's Titan. Say hi to everybody, Titan. Hello. See? Oh, he's a little scared. Doesn't know what's going on. But Earth is the only place that we have that has dogs and pets and animals and all these amazing living things. So when people ask me, Kevin, what's your favorite planet? It's obviously Earth, because I got me, my buddy Titan here, my family, my friends, air. You don't have that on the next planet that we go to. People want to go to the next planet and kind of live there. Do you know what it is? Okay, Titan, you back to mom. There's a little spoiler alert. It's over here. It's Mars. Okay, so Mars is the fourth planet from the sun. It's the fourth rock. So we got another rock out here. And what color is this? It's red. So it's also known as the red planet. So Mars, red planet. Why is it red? Well, it's got iron in the surface. You might be thinking, what's iron? Maybe you don't know what that is. Have you ever seen any cars or like old buildings that kind of turn brown? That's iron, it's rust, and that's what gives us the color of red on the surface of Mars. Now, if I turn it like this and like that, we see white. Don't we see similar things like that on Earth? Yes, it's ice. Ice at the caps. Now, you got to be careful because it's not the ice that we think of. There is other types of ice out there, and what we call this is carbon dioxide ice. So you can't just chop off a little bit of it, throw it in your soda pop, and take a drink to cool it down. No, it's not the same as our water ice, which is the stuff that we're able to melt and drink like here on Earth. Now, Mars has a bunch of robots on it and around it. Mars has been the place next to Earth that we have had the most robots. We sent 4 cars to the surface of Mars. The first one was about the size of a microwave. Just a little thing, microwave on wheels, going around. And then we sent 2 twin rovers, and they were the size of about a golf cart. You know, so one of those like go-karts you can drive around on. And then the last one we sent is the size of a car, like a small car that you could actually sit in. And we're launching another small car to Mars this year in a couple of months. In July, we're going to launch another one to go out, land on Mars, rove around, and see if we can find signs of maybe life in the past. Did Mars have aliens way back when? Possibly. We know that it used to have lakes or water. It might have been like Earth billions of years ago. So we're going to try and see if we can find signs of that. And then the other thing, this robot's going to do, it's going to pick up samples of dirt, put them in a nice little package, and leave them there so that another rover in the future can come pick it up and bring it home all the way to Earth. All right? So Mars, planet. Now we need to move on. Somebody said, rest in peace, Curiosity. So Curiosity is the latest rover that's on Mars. So that one we launched in about 2012. It's still going. No rest in peace, Curiosity. It's still roving around. It's doing great. So now we need to move on to the next planet in the solar system. Do you know what that is? It's our biggest planet out there, Jupiter. Probably my second favorite planet. And what's iconic about Jupiter is that right there. See that? Let's bring it a little bit closer. That is the Great Red Spot. Now, it's huge. So Jupiter is so massive. It's the biggest planet in the solar system. If you put all of the other planets together, they still wouldn't be as big as Jupiter. So how big is this storm? Well, when we first found it, about 400 years ago, it was the size of about 3 Earths. 3 Earths could fit inside this giant red spot right here. Wow. But it's getting smaller. It's shrinking. It's getting just a little bit smaller. So now it's about the size of 1.5 Earths. So it's getting smaller and smaller. This big storm is going away. Now, what we're starting to see in the outside of the solar system is these aren't rocks anymore. These are gas giants. So it's a big ball of gas, a lot of hydrogen, helium. You may have heard those words before. If not, it's cool. So these are a bunch of clouds. We see a bunch of different lines and layers of clouds here on Jupiter. Now, I'm going to blow your mind really quickly, and we're going to get into this one in maybe a future episode. But Jupiter is so big, it is so large, it has so much mass that it doesn't orbit the sun. What? How? You just said in the beginning all the planets orbit the sun, but now you're saying Jupiter doesn't? It goes around the sun, but they both orbit a different point just off of the surface of the sun. So in the next episode, not tomorrow, but in the future, I'm going to tell you why Jupiter doesn't orbit the sun and what they call that little point. It's going to be fun. We're going to use donuts to learn about that one. So we have Jupiter. Next, we've got another gas giant planet. All right. Does anyone know the name of this one? Say it. Saturn. What's so unique about my friend Saturn here? The rings, obviously. So did you know that our friend Jupiter I just threw away has rings too? They're just a lot smaller and you can't see them very easily with telescopes here on Earth. But whenever you see a picture of Saturn, we see these rings. Now they're huge, right? Like, look how big they are. They come out, they're super wide, but look, they're really thin. We've taken pictures of Saturn like this from Earth, and we're like, oh, where did the rings go? Because you can't really see them. They're so thin. Now, how thin do you think they are? So I'm about 6 feet tall, all right? We have here, so a 1-story house is about 10 feet. It's 3 stories, 3 houses, about 30 feet is all that is. It's like a pancake. It's super thin. It's wide, but really thin. And that's what we have at Saturn. Now, I like to call Saturn the gem of the solar system. It's got rings. So that's why we call it the gem. It's super moons. 82 moons. Whoa. So we had a spacecraft that was out there that taught us all about the moons. We sent a spacecraft out, it got closer, and we learned there's moons inside the rings. That's crazy. So they're orbiting around and inside the rings. Now you might be thinking, Jupiter, our friend over here, Jupiter is the biggest planet in the solar system. Why doesn't it have more moons than Saturn? Well, Jupiter that we know of has 79 moons. They're very close. Now, if we send another spacecraft out to Jupiter, because we haven't sent one there in a while, that's like looking for moons. We have 1 spacecraft out there right now. We could find more, and that could make Jupiter then the moon king or queen of the solar system. But right now, it's Saturn. So we just are finding new moons. They're there, but it takes a long time to find them because space is so big. So what's the next planet? If we get so many of these and it's such a big space, the next planet is Uranus. So you maybe like to say Uranus, but it's Uranus. That's how we say it. So we got Uranus here. Now Uranus is kind of weird. So most of the planets spin like this as they go around the sun, right? This is why we have night and day. Spins like this, spins like this. Well, Uranus spins on its side. It's like a bowling ball. It's like it got knocked over. It's like, so it goes around the sun spinning like this. Uranus also has rings, all right? It has rings that orbit this way because it spins like this. They're really small, so you can't see them as well with the telescope either. But Uranus also has a lot of moons. So the last count that we have for Uranus is 27 moons. That's a lot. But my favorite thing about Uranus is it had a different name. Before it was Uranus, its name was George. I love it, George. So everybody say, hi, George. Hi, George. All right. Well, now we have Uranus, and there's one more planet in the solar system that we've got to talk about. So let's move on. And the last one is Neptune. So I've got my Neptune buddy here. It also has a giant blue storm here. It's a great blue storm that's also been shrinking and going away. Now Uranus, just like Neptune, Uranus and Neptune are what we call icy gas giants. So there's ice and gas. They don't have the rocks like the first four planets of the solar system. Now Neptune is so far away. It's the furthest away from the solar system center of the sun. If you were to put the solar system on a football field, the sun would be on one goal line, and then Neptune would be all the way past the other one. It's so big and far away. Now, what's cool about Neptune? All these planets have really cool things. This one's super cold, but there's two things I want to tell you about it. One is that the wind is so fast, like so fast. See, it just flies away. The wind is faster than the speed of sound. The speed of sound, you hear something, and that's the amount of time it takes from, like, let's say you drop a glass, and you hear the sound of the glass, so it's super fast. So that means the wind is going to hit you before you hear it. So you got to move around so you don't get hit by that wind. All right, so that's a little scary, but it might be worth battling the wind to go and get what's out at Neptune. So when it rains here on Earth, what falls out of the sky? Water. Water falls out of the sky on Earth, but on Neptune, it rains diamonds. Yes, diamonds. So I got a rocket ship outside. After the quarantine, you all can come over, grab your backpacks. We'll get in a rocket ship. We'll launch off, go to Neptune, open our backpacks, put a bunch of the diamonds in it, and then bring them back home and give them to our moms and teachers. What do you think? You want to join me? All right. No, we're not going to go to Neptune and grab them. But that's what happens is it starts as what we call carbon. It's an element high up. Then as it gets drawn into the center of the planet, it gets harder and it gets turned into a diamond. That's what's going on at Neptune. Now, I see the question there. Now we have my son Riley wants to know, what do you have to say about Pluto? Now Pluto, this guy, right? This is Pluto. No, this isn't the Pluto we're talking about. So the Pluto we're talking about is something that used to be one of the big normal planets. It got demoted to a dwarf planet in 2006. But Pluto holds a special place in my heart. So I have a special friend for Pluto. This one right here. Now I'm going to show you this. So it spins. Check it out. There's the heart of Pluto. So in 2006, Pluto was demoted to a dwarf planet. Now why? Why was Pluto demoted? Well, to be considered a planet, you need to have three things. You need to have enough mass to pull yourself into a sphere. Pluto does that, right? Second one is you need to be on a predictable orbit around the sun. So you need to know where it is at all times. Crazy. Pluto does that. So it goes around the sun. So we check one, check two. Why isn't Pluto a planet? Well, Pluto's not a planet because of the third one. You need to clear your neighborhood in the orbit. You're like, Kevin, what does that mean? Why isn't Pluto a planet? Well, what that means is that you need to be so big or so strong that in your orbit, you are the only thing that's going around and you bring things with you. So you need to have a bunch of moons or anything you find, you need to bring it in as a moon, or you need to kick it out of your orbit and throw it somewhere else. So Pluto, now that we have better telescopes, so when we first found Pluto, we're like, oh, look at that. It's the furthest thing away that we're able to see, and we can't see anything else. But then our telescopes got better, and we found out that there's a bunch of other little rocks around Pluto. So Pluto's just the biggest rock in another belt of rocks that's out past Neptune. It's in something called the Kuiper Belt. Now, I didn't talk about this, but between Mars and Jupiter, there's the asteroid belt, bunch of rocks out there. There's dwarf planets in that belt as well. So now that we have more telescope technology, we're able to see better and further out into the solar system. We know that Pluto is just that biggest rock that's out there, and it's still special. When I was in third grade, I did my planet book report or my project on Pluto, and I had to make a little model of Pluto. It really holds a special. I got my nice special Pluto right here. So that's why it's not a regular planet anymore, but it's still there. It didn't go away. Pluto didn't disappear. It's just a dwarf planet out in the same spot. So we'll put back our special Pluto. All right, that is our solar system. So those are our planets. So we talked about Sun, Mercury, Venus, Earth, Mars, that asteroid belt, Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, George, Neptune, and then our dwarf planet Pluto. And then we know that there's more dwarf planets within the asteroid belt and the Kuiper belt, which is where Pluto is out on the outside. So I'm going to go through and see if there's any more questions here that I lost that I wasn't seeing as we went through. So Curiosity lost some power last year, they're saying. And then Aubrey wants to know the names of the dwarf planets. I don't know all of them. I do not know all of them. I would have to look them up, but I can tell you that they have hard names to pronounce, and I don't know how to pronounce all of them. So I'll do some history homework on that, and then one of the next episodes we can do is to learn all about the dwarf planets and what's so unique about them in our solar system. Someone said Pluto did come back as a planet recently. No, it did not. There is pushes for Pluto to come back as a planet. It is still a dwarf planet. It has not been re-upgraded to the normal planetness. So thank you all for tuning in. I really appreciate you guys coming in here. We are going to be going live every single weekday. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time, this exact same time. And we're going to learn about the solar system. We're going to learn about space. We're going to learn about maybe NASA. This shirt glows in the dark, by the way. It's too bright out right now to get dark, but it glows. It's so cool. And we got one more question here. What is the closest planet to our solar system that is not in the solar system? So planets outside of our solar system are called exoplanets. Now, the closest star to us is Alpha Centauri, which is about 4.5 light years away. So if you're traveling at the speed of light, when you turn on the light switch, it just goes, it's immediately on. If you're going that fast, it's going to take you 4.5 years to get there. And around that star, we believe there are planets as well. There's aliens? We don't know. We're still trying to find that out. So thank you for tuning in. Make sure you like this video. All right, click subscribe so you can get notified when I go live every day at 9 a.m. until this quarantine is over, so we can learn more about space and have a great time. All right, keep looking up. Thanks, everybody.